Yeah, because I'm a DJ. Pew, pew, pew.
Oh my goodness.
I'm one sip of bourbon in. I'm a good time.
You are a good time.
All right. Are we going to start?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, friends.
Wait.
What?
We need to be way more serious than this.
Dude, what is your problem?
This is when we warn people about all of the craziness they may experience by being exposed to our podcast, Mistrial by Fire.
What exactly are you suggesting right now?
Well, first, I think we need some serious sounding music in the background.
Okay, and then what?
That's as far as I got.
Well, then we should tell them what sort of effects they could encounter as a result of our show.
Are you talking about something like side effects?
Exactly.
Genius.
Make sure to consult your physician, life coach, clergy, spouse, real estate agent, or anyone else that might have an opinion about how you live your life before listening to the podcast Mistrial by Fire.
Side effects could include, but are not limited to, sudden bouts of rage, finger cramping due to constantly pausing the show so you can discuss your point, dizziness,
pulling your car to the side of the road so you can safely laugh, lack of patience due to having to wait a week for the next podcast, appearing crazy while arguing with a show that you know can't hear you.
While listening to Mistrial by Fire, you may find it unsafe to eat or drink, operate heavy machinery, or try to appear attentive to someone else while they explain anything to you.
You may find yourself exposed to profanity, blasphemy, and or triggering events.
Some stories may hit too close to home, making you feel sensitive, defensive, or guilty.
They may cause a wedge between you and your significant other when they refuse to see your point of view.
You might be overwhelmed with adult content, laughter, or the feeling of shock and awe.
This podcast is not intended for listeners under the age of 18. Enjoy.
You are listening to the podcast Mistrial by Fire, brought to you by Uncommon Threads.
I'm Kyoko.
And I'm Eric.
We've been married for over 15 years.
And believe it or not, sometimes we argue.
Those arguments have led to some pretty interesting conversations, and from time to time, we lure our friends and family into getting involved.
We also both share backgrounds working in the criminal justice system.
Mix those together, and that's where the idea for Mistrial by Fire was born.
We will source stories from the web, or better yet, cover original content sent to us by our listeners.
Typically, we will look for material that Eric and I might have differing opinions on.
Most of the time, guests will be invited to go over the stories with us and ultimately weigh in. On some occasions, it'll be just Kyoko and I.
In a way, Eric and I will present our sides of the argument, similar to opposing sides in court.
Our guests will listen to our perspectives and participate in the discussion.
Ultimately, though, our guests will be expected to take one side or the other. They will essentially deliberate and render a verdict.
All stories will be trimmed down to one specific question of guilty or not guilty. That question will be identified and made clear.
Our guest jurors can agree on guilty or not guilty, in which case applause will be heard and all will be right in the world.
But if they can't agree on a verdict, then we will declare a hung jury. If someone refuses to pass judgment, well, that's considered a mistrial.
And a sad trombone sound will fill the air.
Also, sometime during the middle of the show and during the conclusion, we will tell you how to write into the podcast with your content.
If we use your content, we will send you some merch, but those details will come later, so stay tuned.
And that's it. That's all there is to it.
So again, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to Mistrial by Fire. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome again to the show. We have two guests tonight, besides my lovely wife, right?
Yeah, not just stuck with us this time.
Okay. We actually got some help, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hello there. My name is Javier.
All right. And who's this with you?
This is my lovely, beautiful wife, Dawn.
That's the right answer.
Yes, I'm Dawn, his wife.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you, Javier and Dawn, for being on the show.
How long have you guys been married?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of like newlyweds.
Almost out of the newlywed phase.
All right. Okay.
I feel like they are married longer though because of the kid situation.
Right. Don't you guys have like 300 kids or something? How many is
A
it?
small army.
287.
280. Yeah, you were close, Eric. You were close.
They have a truckload of kids, like 2 truckloads of kids, really.
At least one big van. Yeah.
And what do you guys do? Javi, what do you do?
I'm in the construction rental business.
Okay, cool. And Dawn?
Government work?
Yeah, I work in government work.
That's mysterious.
Very mysterious.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good enough. I can tell you can't really go into it.
Correct.
I don't want to disappear.
Well, it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club.
I don't want to ask too many questions and end up getting in some car crash tomorrow all by myself.
Mysteriously. Weird. My brakes just don't work anymore.
I know how the government works. You guys understand what we're doing here today?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Ready to be super judgy and render some verdicts?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to jump into the first one. The question is, am I guilty of being a jerk? Pretty simple, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. I'm a 44-year-old single dad to 2 kids, Audrey, 16, and Emily, 12. We have a great relationship, but Audrey can sometimes be rude and demeaning. That's weird. A teenager being rude and demeaning. Saying cruel things casually when she's displeased about something or in a bad mood. Emily, her little sister, looks up to her, often mimicking her behavior, which obviously worries me. I cooked a nice Sunday dinner and Audrey stormed downstairs in a bad mood for who knows what reason. She was being a downer, whereas Emily and I were cheerful. I asked her to improve her mood, please, instead of ruining the dinner. She turned to me and unleashed her anger.
Unleashed.
To quote some of her elegant words, can you stop lecturing for once? You're annoying as fuck. And seriously, you're the one who ruins everything.
We had one tell us we were the cause of all their stresses.
Oh, all their stress. Wow, that is
All of
impressive.
them.
All of them.
I stood up, took her plate, and dumped it in the trash can. I told her since she can't bother to show me any basic respect, she should start providing for herself from now on. She said she'll make cereal, and maybe I was an asshole. I said, no, that's my milk. She should get a job and get her own groceries. I don't feel like I yelled at her. I felt like I spoke calmly, but when she realized I was being serious, she got very upset, started crying, and ran to her room. We haven't talked since. Obviously, she's mad at me, but now my younger daughter is mad at me too, saying I acted like a huge jerk to her sister. Of course, I don't see it that way. I just don't tolerate being spoken to with such disrespect, and it did hurt me a lot hearing Audrey say these things to me that were uncalled for.
Man, that's tough. Like, I feel his pain that when you're just, like, as a parent, just trying to live your life and you're, like, doing the things like making dinner and, like, okay, let's have dinner together. And someone just wants to be an asshole for what feels like no reason. Obviously, I'm sure she had what she felt like was a valid reason to be however she was being. But the dad doesn't know this, and she didn't take any time to explain, though he didn't take any time to ask. That's rough. Just like being assaulted with shitty behavior. I'm not a fan.
It sounds like she was fired up already, and he just wants to have a good dinner. Him and the other kid are in a good mood. She seems like she's not in a good mood, and he calls her out on it. Mm-hmm. What about dumping the food in the trash can?
Man, I feel that, like, if you're going to be disrespectful, you didn't even cook this food, nor did you buy it. Like, you don't get to have it then if this is how you're going to act. But that's rough.
It's a pretty bold statement. I mean, why not just put it in the fridge, eat it later?
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not going to have it either.
I mean, realistically, that would have been what feels like the more responsible thing to do. But I get heat of the moment. He didn't hit her.
It's a power statement.
right.
It's a power play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about this?
Where are you at on this?
I don't know that I would have thrown the food away, but I think I have.
Well, you got
said,
100 kids. You
I
don't
know.
you don't throw food away when you got
No,
100
not
kids.
at all.
Yeah.
But I have told them to go back to their room until you're in a better mood.
Does that work?
They tend to maybe just settle down a little bit or keep to themselves.
Okay. Are you
But-
really just saying get out of my face before I do something to you?
Yeah.
That's the parent version of per my last email.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And I've said that, hey, we're on a fine mood down here. Like, you're the one coming down here. So
With your
go back
drama.
until you're in a better mood or something. Like, don't ruin it for us.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like happened too.
Yeah.
Javi, where you at?
I'm with him.
Yeah.
I've been in that same situation, and I would dump the food.
Yeah. You got to set an
He
example.
set an example, and
Okay.
understandably so that the younger one will be also upset, but there's got to be boundaries. There has to be boundaries.
I'm always shocked when I hear a story that involves a youngster, like, a teenager dropping the F-bomb to the parent in the middle of an argument. I don't know why that shocks me.
Well, because it's like our younger kids, especially.
Oh my God.
They won't even repeat something they heard. They're like, they don't even want to say the letter. They're like, like, what did it start with?
Well, none of our kids.
That's
did
true. The
that.
older
Even-
one, not to our face.
No, definitely. They probably said some stuff when they got to their rooms.
Right,
but
under their
yeah.
breath.
Yeah, but our youngsters will probably do that too at some point. But like the right to your face, like
Yeah.
just the F off.
It's a huge slap in the face.
It is.
It's a huge disrespect. I've had it happen. It's not fun.
Give me the highlights. What happened?
We have one individual who is very challenging.
Okay.
He likes
I like
to
the vagueness.
challenge the authority.
Okay. How old was he when he really started challenging it?
about 12, 13.
Okay.
And he's
Yeah.
currently 17.
Oh, okay.
So it's been an ongoing battle for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And every time he goes up a notch, I feel like I have to go up a notch as
Yeah.
well. And the other kids see that. Nobody else dares, not because I'm intimidating whatsoever. They
Right.
just have that respect. We've been there. It's over with. But this guy just...
He's pushing the
He
buttons.
pushes the buttons. He knows what buttons to push.
Is
And
he your height?
Roughly.
Okay, because that's something I always think about too. And I don't know why, but just as a man, my oldest boy.
He's a big one.
Yeah. All of a sudden, all of a sudden I'm trying to kind of reprimand him and I'm looking up
Oh, yeah.
every time I'm doing it. And our 13-year-old son now is,
He's close.
he's like an inch shorter than me. And I know I've maybe got another year before he starts getting taller than me too. And I'm like, man, you got to maintain dominance.
It's
Yeah,
tough though. I
it's
remember
hard.
with our oldest boy, I was just kind of like play reprimanding him. He wasn't really in trouble. I was just goofing around, and he patted me on my fucking head. And I was like, dude, you did it.
Good mom.
Yeah, I will hurt myself trying to hurt you. Pat me on the head.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself being challenged constantly, or is this just from time? Is it better now?
It's
Is
better
it-
now.
Okay.
It's better now. It was at a pretty high point.
And what do you attribute it getting better to?
Consistency on
Okay.
my part.
Exactly.
And meeting that challenge. And it's unfortunate because I don't necessarily like to get that way.
Yeah.
I don't like to get to that level,
Right.
but I feel like I have to in order to keep that at bay.
Yeah. And I mean, if you say something, it's you got to do
Yeah,
it.
and
Yeah.
it's I see it. He's the only one. My oldest is a lot taller than me, but
It's
he's,
mostly hair.
It's mostly yeah, really. It's mostly hair, and he won't dare
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
ever speak to me in that tone or with cuss words.
just a different,
Totally
type of
different,
person, yeah.
different person. So
Yeah. Like I know my 11-year-old daughter right now. It's just a matter of time before she cusses me out. I can feel it. But my 13,
She might not. She might not.
She will. It's coming. But my 13-year-old, I don't even know if when he's an adult, I'm going to hear him.
I don't think so.
Talk like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I think that's an interesting point as a parent, and it's something that I just did not accept until I became a parent. I thought that as a parent, you have this ability to kind of craft your kids into who they're going to be. And I had these preconceived notions that if I do, 1 through 10, same mom, same dad, they're close in age, they've had the same rules in the same house their whole lives, and they have a lot in common, but they're very different people.
Almost night and day.
Very different, as one is more assertive and aggressive and more dominant,
Opinionated.
and it's our daughter.
Yeah.
And then our boy is much more empathetic, reserved, sort of laid back kind of a thing. And it just blows my mind because I think they've been treated about the same their whole lives, and in a very consistent way. And they're just, it just goes to show you that everybody's kind of their own person. As a parent, we can guide them, we can counsel them, we can do everything that we can, but they really are their own people. And, you never know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really interesting.
They're going to be whoever they're going to be. And you, like you said, just got to do your best to guide them. And sometimes maybe you got to throw their dinner away once in a while.
Yeah.
And
Man.
I take away worse things. I take away the phone. I take away the makeup.
Right,
I take
right.
away the
Oh
nails.
my God. What does that
the
look
makeup.
like?
That's
what does
a
that
good
look like?
one.
The phone is, the makeup's a big deal, but
That's
the
clever.
phone, what happens when you take away the phone?
A lot of crying.
Which is crazy, right? You're like, thinking about our generation. Like, we literally lived without these.
Right.
Yeah, but we didn't know what it was like to live with them,
With
though.
them,
That's
it's
the
true.
difference.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't know that we missed it.
Yeah.
These kids now, everything is their phone. It's the primary way they keep in touch with anybody in their social life. It's all their information, the way they organize things. It's everything that matters. Yeah. I remember a few nuclear meltdowns. I remember once we took a phone away. I don't know how you guys did it, but we started with kind of like the track phone, because we didn't want our kids losing the nicer phone. And then we forgot about it. So we took the actual phone away later on. And then we found one of our kids, who shall remain nameless, like hiding in the bathroom with like an old tablet and a track phone we forgot about, on the Wi-Fi. I'm like, man, I can't even think like that.
That same 17-year-old does that same stuff.
Really? He would hoard phones over the years.
Wow.
When they predominantly lived with their bio bomb, they had phones at a very young age.
Yeah.
And that led to getting more phones, which they would stash. And when one get taken
emergency.
out, I'm like, how the fuck are you?
Right.
How are you talking to so and so? Why are you? Well, I got this phone and I got that phone, so he would brag about it. I would take 2 phones and he'd bust out another one.
Oh my goodness.
He would buy it from a sibling.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a whole racket going.
It's like, what the hell's going on?
You know what I learned?
here?
If they're in trouble, right? If they're grounded and then suddenly they're not pissed, like it's day 2 or 3 and they're not upset anymore. You're like, oh, okay, you worked something out.
Yeah.
I got to search the room.
Yep.
I need to know what's in your pockets. I need some witnesses who you've been interacting with lately. You got to find the
Bribing,
weaker sibling that's going to roll.
So then we had to tell him, okay, so then if you contribute, then you're in trouble too. And you lose your phone.
Okay.
So it's like a domino effect now.
Yeah.
You got more people in trouble.
Yeah, no aiding and abetting.
Right, exactly.
So they would take the phone.
Turns into like
after the
Hunger
fact.
Games.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they have a laptop.
Right. Yes.
How the hell does that happen?
Yes. I didn't even know they could communicate on this stuff. Like, they get on their gaming system. I know this sounds obvious now, but, like 10 years ago, I had no idea that, things like that work that way. And then I don't know. So that's what I've learned. If they're grounded and happy, then they're up to something. They've figured out a way.
Yeah.
Well, update us with those edits.
Yeah. Okay.
We always have to have somebody in control of the group, right?
Yeah, well, normally it's him. It's funny, but I think this is like a passion topic for him
I
too.
know.
Raising teenagers is hard, man.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing in the world. So this is just an add-on to the story. I forgot to include that my daughter also made a snide comment about the food not looking good, which is what triggered me to throw her plate away.
Okay, like how's it look in the trash?
Is this better or worse?
Yeah. Still hungry?
I did ask her twice at the beginning what was wrong and why she was in such a bad mood. Her response was a sarcastic, "You wouldn't get it." I asked why not. She just sighed. Of course, I'm not going to starve her. I was just trying to make a point. Anybody that's shocked and awed at this behavior either A, doesn't have teenage kids, or B, they have awful teenage kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's norm to them.
Yeah, man, it's a fight. It's a
is.
fight.
Every day.
And it's a struggle, and you have to constantly bend. I'm going through this thing now where I have to remind myself that as a parent, I make mistakes, and sometimes it's good to apologize to your kids. And if I were to say that to like my grandparents or something, they'd be like, "What?
Yeah.
Apologize to your kids? Like, you die on that hill. You never apologize to your kids. Do not show weakness."
Well, even like I know you were raised by your grandparents, but just for clarity, like my parents, same thing. Like that generation just did not believe in apologizing to your kids.
No.
What I say goes. Do what I say because I said it. You don't get a reason. You're just gonna do it, and you better not backtalk me.
Right.
Like I still don't backtalk my mom.
No,
Right.
I don't backtalk your mom. I'm scared. I'm scared of her. It's a powerful thing when you genuinely make a mistake. I think what drove that home with me the most is you want to model the behavior, that
You wanna see.
You want to do what you want to see done. And, if your kids see you make an honest mistake and apologize over it, that's a pretty powerful moment. But man, most of the time, especially
I feel
our
like
daughter,
we're triggered. We're not going. I don't feel like we're head hunting in the house, like looking who's dead. Can I ruin
Right?
today?
Yeah.
man, I just got to live.
Right.
Pick on this one today.
Right. Like, it's a good day to be the point of all the stressors in this kid's life today.
I genuinely do not want any problems. Like that's how I, especially at home. That's how I live my life. I'm like, man, I don't want to fight.
Yeah, yeah.
But I haven't got any milk in a month. Because you inconsiderate kids. No, I don't know, man. It's just a funny thing being a parent. You have no idea if you're doing it right ever.
There's no book.
No.
There's no book that
No.
tells you. There's a lot that claim.
Right. They kind
know.
of guide you, but
Oh, there's
parent for
so
dummies.
much advice.
Right.
So much advice. Everybody's just guessing, though.
Right.
Everybody's just guessing.
when that's all you can do with kids being such individuals. I mean, there are some big things you can do, like you said, showing the behaviors that you want them to exhibit. But I feel like not enough people give parents credit for the fact that it's like, yeah, teenager, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. What if I'm also having a bad day? Like, do I not have an
Yeah.
opportunity to
No.
have emotions too? No,
I don't think you get that. I don't think
don't.
you get that level
Unfortunately,
of grace
we don't,
as a
we
parent.
don't get
Yeah.
that break. We don't get that. I had a bad day. It doesn't matter if you did or did not.
No.
Right.
And before I was a parent, if I saw somebody dragging their kid through Walmart, like kicking and screaming, I'm like, you're a terrible person. I can't believe what's wrong. Now I see that same scenario and I'm like, what that little shithead
I'll
did.
grab
Yeah,
his
yeah,
feet.
yeah. Let me grab the feet. Yeah.
I make eye contact. I'm like, I'm like, I got you.
Give your knuckles, man.
Yeah,
Good job on that.
yeah.
I'll like open the car door for him,
Yeah.
you know. It's different, man.
Yep.
It's different. All right. All right. I think we talked it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna start with Dawn. Question is, is the dad guilty of being a jerk or not? What say you, Dawn?
No, I don't think so.
Not guilty. Javi, where you at?
Not guilty.
Oh,
Not
see,
oh,
you guys
see?
did agree. Woo!
Nice.
I actually really like when he gets really mad.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm always the one.
Yeah.
I'm always the one who's handling it. Usually, most
When
of
the
time.
windows shatter,
Yeah.
super pissed. It's echoing everywhere.
Yeah,
Everybody's
get
like,
it, baby.
I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's
I
so
don't have
kids
to
are
do-
just looking like, oh shit,
Yep.
dad's pissed.
Yep. That's fun. That used to be what it was like in our house because he worked all the time. So it was
Yeah.
me dealing with everybody.
Yep.
And it would get to, well, and I'm the meaner one anyway. It's like, you're like, no, I said we're taking the car. So let's take the car. But every now and again, it'd be like, it just either because I was so done or they got extra shitty with him, then he'd come in and do the dad thing. And then,
Yeah.
like everybody's on board.
That seems to be, I've talked to quite a few other dads, and that seems to be fairly consistent. Like we're really low key, and it seems like mom handles most of it, and then when something really heavy happens and dad gets upset, it's kind of another level.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of the time, I'm the soft one for sure. I mean, I've lost count of the times I've like snuck cookies to the kids and bought them stuff I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
And
I'm
we've
guilty of
all
that.
cut
I'm
it
guilty.
okey doked mom, or if she gets to sneak out of town for a couple days or something like that, we just like the roof flies off the
Reckless
house.
abandon.
We're eating ice cream for
It's like
dinner.
he's also feral. I'm like, now I have a tribe of feral people.
She comes back, man, and it's like Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
We're wearing the same clothes. They just got food all over them.
Just garbage full of McDonald's wrappers.
All right, you guys ready for another one?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, story 2. Am I guilty of overreacting?
Oh, I like these.
Or I guess not me. Is this mom guilty of overreacting? I, 37 female, have 2 kids with my husband, 41 male, a 14-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old son. Our daughter has always been a little socially awkward, to the point that we had her tested since we suspected her of being on the spectrum. Turns out she isn't on the spectrum. She's just a normal introvert. However, this year in school, we were thrilled when our daughter made a new friend her age, since that is an area in which she struggles. Long story short, she recently invited her new friend over, with our approval, to have dinner at our house and then spend the night. So my daughter's friend came over. My husband is usually the cook in the family, and this night was no exception. He made us all a really nice meal. During the course of said meal, I asked my daughter's friend, "Are you enjoying the food?" She responded, "Yes. Your husband is a great cook. No wonder you ended up a bigger woman."
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I would just go away. It's the dad. I don't want to
Melt into the bushes like Homer.
Yeah, exactly.
The room got quiet for several moments. My husband tried to laugh it off. And change the subject, but I wasn't having it. The girl had just leveled a completely uncalled for insult at me. My daughter's friend seemed to realize that she'd messed up, but she didn't say anything else. We finished an awkward dinner and mostly silence, and my daughter's friend did stay the night. This was a couple of months ago. Recently, my daughter asked if she could have her friend back over, and I said sure, if she's going to apologize to me. When our daughter asked what I meant, I reminded her of what she'd said. My daughter responded that it was over and she didn't want to bring it up again. She then went to her father and asked, and he said sure, but she then told him what I had said. He came to me and said, daughter's friend just felt awkward and tried to make a joke. It didn't land. For the sake of our daughter, can't you just let it go? Yes, I could. But the thing is that I just want an apology from the girl. I need to see that she understands how rude she was before I can go on board with her and my daughter hanging out. My husband says that I'm being weird for insisting that I get an apology from a 14-year-old, especially since that's the girl that is a good friend with our daughter. I think it's weird that I'm still waiting for an apology from that same girl. Seriously, that's all I need. I just need to know that any friend of my daughter is willing to own up to their own screw-ups. Wow.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm like hearing that story. I'm tense.
It's tough. I feel like if one of our kids' friends called me fat, I'd just laugh it off. Like, I mean, in that way where she's just like, no wonder you're big lady. I'm like, yeah, I love to eat.
Right. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, it's like, because you got to take into consideration that she's, what did they say, 12, 14?
Yeah, 14, I think.
Kids, I mean, I still consider that a kid. They get awkward. And I don't think she meant it to be insulting. She meant it to be lighthearted.
I don't think that's awkward. I think that's just rude.
Just rude.
I've never been that awkward. I'm just trying to keep it in context. If I'm at my friend's house and, I'm 14 and I'm thinking of the friends that I had when I was 14 and I'm having dinner and it's great. It's some just bomb lasagna or something, and we're talking about how good it is. And I look at the mom and I'm like, that's probably why you're overweight is all this good food.
Right.
Like, oh, sorry, I'm awkward. I don't think so. I mean, with the parents that I grew up around that my friends had, I probably wouldn't be here today. Like my body would have disappeared if I'd have said something like that. And what's funny is I don't want to, I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but my buddies' moms were not small women.
Okay.
So the opportunity was there.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, I personally wouldn't say it, and I guess to be fair, I am not a sensitive individual, and so in general, I don't typically care what people think or say about me. So it's not fair for me to give my opinion in this particular circumstance.
Yeah, but there's buttons. Like you have different buttons. Let's say same general circumstance, but we're having something that might feel stereotypical for dinner, and you know what I mean? And
I do, Eric.
And that same kid is like, oh, black people really do eat this kind of food. Sorry, I'm awkward. Like I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not very sensitive. That's fine.
I wouldn't say it's fine. I would address it, but I wouldn't be like, you need to apologize to me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I would just educate him, like, hey, maybe you didn't know that's like not
I would
cool.
educate their ass right out the door.
Banned.
Yeah. Oh, there's no apology here. I don't know. That's just me though. Like I think the perspective is interesting too, because if one of the kids probably said that to me, it probably wouldn't bother me as much if I was standing there while they said that to you.
Same. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know.
I think I'd be more pissed.
Yeah.
If they said it to her, to my wife.
Yeah.
Instead of, if it was, swap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'd be like a how dare you situation.
Like, what the-
You are in our house and we're feeding you and you're calling my wife fat. Oh,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. Dawn, where you at?
I don't know. I don't know either. I'm trying to imagine somebody saying it to me.
I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done that,
Yeah.
right? Because that is not acceptable in any circumstance.
What if the friend's on the spectrum? It like legit just doesn't know
We're not
better.
what if
So
in
we
this.
know teenagers.
We're not what if in this.
We know teenagers. We know kids. They speak their mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because little kids would be like, is there a baby in your belly?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But little kids get a pass.
Okay, so little kids get a
Yeah.
But
And I don't.
teenagers are bullies. These
That's
days. I mean,
true.
like they
That's
just
true.
like to
Straight
say
bullies.
things to be mean. And
I don't know
so
what
it's
the
like-
age limit is either. Like if a 2-year-old says that, I'm probably just gonna be like, hey, that's not nice. 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old,
I feel
14.
like by like
14-year-old should know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
By
Yeah,
like
could-
third grade, you're what, 8, 9? I'd say 8, 9. You're old enough to know better.
I do want to give some credit. I mean, that's funny as hell. If I was watching it and I was not related to it, if it was on like TV or something, I would think that's funny. But
What even like again? I don't count because I just find more humor and stuff like this. And if this was the circumstance where you cook good ass food all the time and I'm really chunky, I'd be like, I know, right? He needs to be a bad cook so I can lose some weight.
Right.
Yeah, turned it around.
Flip it, right? Yeah. I might
Yeah.
do the
I don't
same
know.
thing,
Diffuse it, yeah.
I don't know if I buy that. I don't know. Maybe that's a tough circumstance. So is she overreacting? I think what it's narrowed down to is she's demanding an apology
Correct.
before she moves on.
Yeah, and it's been, did they say months?
Yeah, she said it was a couple months later. The kid wants to come say that. I think what's funny too is she's like, yeah, it's easy. I can totally get over it. Like I'm over it. She just needs to apologize.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound over it.
Yeah.
This is going to be something that mom is pissed off about
Forever.
for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
gonna run into her at the grocery store 20
Sure.
years from now.
Yeah, she's gonna have like 4 kids of her own,
Yeah.
and she's gonna be, oh, who's fat now? Your husband must cook you some good food, huh?
All that
Huh,
stuff in the
Susan?
grocery basket.
Yeah.
Maybe you should put the bread back.
So I can't say, okay, now thinking about it, wow, put the bread back.
Carbs, man.
If I was in a situation where I was with people I didn't know, I think that's when I would be offended. But in my own house with my people, I wouldn't care.
Well, does it add anything when you don't know this person that's insulting you?
Yeah, but again, I think I'd give more grace and just being, like I said, turn it around. Like, yeah, I know he needs to suck it.
I'm
back, he's sucking
impressed.
some weight.
I'm impressed by your tolerance.
It's not so much. I just more like, just apathy. I don't know.
Really? I mean, the weight thing, maybe that's not a big button for you, but if it was something else that, something that you're personally bothered by.
Oh,
or
I'm not happy
sensitive-
about my weight, but I did this to me. Nobody else did this. If you were like mainlining Crisco, we'd have a different discussion. But this is me. I like pizza and carbs and donuts and shit.
It's just somebody saying that in your house. I don't know. At 14, I think they're old enough to know better, and that's just rude. But I don't know how far you take that.
And to be fair, I can see that perspective, and I do respect that perspective. I would not be demanding an apology, nor do I see that that's reasonable, especially after months. Like obviously the friend decided to be scarce because they didn't know how to handle
So
that.
that's a good question then, and I'll throw this over to Dawn. So if you don't demand an apology, how do you move forward? What are you doing? Are you just shrugging it off? Are you talking to their parent? Are you talking to them maybe a little and just saying, hey, if you're in somebody's house, maybe you should think about things before you talk? What are you doing?
I would probably let them come back and kind of see how it goes a second time.
What if they make another fat joke?
Then it's gonna get addressed. at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah,
I'll be
for sure. Be like, all right, let's have a
girl, we
conversation.
talk. Like,
Some shit's gonna go down. I know. Something's gonna fly.
Like the kid just shows up and they're like, hey, fatty. I see.
I see your husband's still making that good food. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I haven't been here in 2 months. Have you been eating the whole time?
Yeah, it's time to throw
I
hands.
might give her some credit for having jokes though.
Right.
I don't know.
Witty
That's
like
a good one. Good
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, I do appreciate a good insult. What is that like? I got what's that joke? Like I have 2 fat friends and no, I have 3 fat friends and you're 2 of them.
Yeah, no, really. We recently drove across country, and short story, we connected with a bunch of people, like caught up with people that we've made friends with, or family members or whatever that live throughout the country, and so we kind of plotted out our route, and we got to this one couple's house, and I'm friends with the husband, and Kyoko's friends with the wife, and she's closer friends with the wife, and And but I'm pretty good friends with the husband, and we get there, and I'm excited to see him. And he looks at me and he's like, "Wow, you got fat." First words out of his mouth, and didn't apologize, didn't laugh, didn't anything, just like moved on. He's like, "You want some water?" It's just like, I'm like, dude,
hiding the cokes from you.
Yeah, you just called me fat like in front of my wife and kids, and you weren't even joking.
I think he has a man crush on you and was just trying to like bring you down.
I don't know. Yeah. And then he was like, I only know like 4 fat people and you're 3 of them. It's like, wow. I was like, man, all right, load up the kids. We're not even staying the night here.
Done.
Screw these people. Yeah, I don't even like them anymore.
That's funny.
Oh, Aaron, if you ever hear this, I'm talking about you. And I still beat you in arm wrestling.
That's also true. I saw that.
All right. So have we talked this out?
I think
What
so.
does Javi think?
Yeah. What do you think, Javi?
I think I went down on this one. I think the first one, okay,
So you're just going to feel it out, see what
I would
happens.
feel it
next
out.
time?
I wouldn't say anything.
So I'm the kid, right? We're at the dinner table right now. You're sitting next to your wife. And I say that. You're not saying anything
I would say something.
in that moment.
I would say something.
What would you say?
I would say that's not okay.
That's not acceptable.
That's not acceptable here.
Okay. But you're not freaking out.
I'm not freaking out.
You're not throwing food in the trash.
I'm not throwing food in the trash. I'm not banning them for life.
Okay.
Yet,
right.
You're not demanding an apology?
I don't think he would tell that person to say sorry.
No.
But he would say it's not okay.
I would definitely say that's not
Okay.
okay. I've done it before with other situations.
So you'd make it clear that's not
That's
acceptable.
not acceptable.
Expecting it to not happen again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then that kid is allowed to come over again. And if nothing like that happens, it's smooth sailing.
Right.
Water under the bridge.
And the same, growing up, that was never acceptable.
Right. Right.
You respect people, especially if you're at their house.
Right. Yes.
They're cooking for you.
Right.
You show that gratitude, that
Right.
thankfulness. Thank you for having me. You don't say, thanks, fatty, for
yeah.
it was a great dinner. Thank you.
God, fat people make so much better food.
Please do.
Oh, man.
We use real butter.
right. All the good stuff.
All the good tortillas.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Man, I remember growing up, I had this friend, and his mom always cooked, and she was just a terrible cook. And everybody in the house knew it. The food was just awful. And I wanted to be there all the time because other than that, it was a great place to be. This is tough. Anyway, all right, sorry.
I'll trip down memory
Yeah, it
lane.
was just awful food all the time. But I never said anything. I just ate it. I didn't get second, so.
So, yeah. Just enough to survive.
Yeah. I'm full.
Well, we eat even really crappy food
Yeah.
just to be not, so we're not disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just
no.
to not be rude.
I don't
yeah.
want- no, just
yeah.
Don't have seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't-
Get a small amount.
Right.
Yeah, you just eat that
Right.
stuff
Not
again.
that
You're like,
hungry.
I
oh,
ate before I
man.
came over.
No,
Right.
thank
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yep.
good. Yeah. One
Great.
serving's enough.
Liver and onions
Oh my gosh.
and peas
Oh.
We literally just told the kids we were going to have liver and onions last weekend.
as a threat or what?
Or
No, we
for
were
real.
like because they always ask and they always
What's for
complain
dinner?
about
What's
what's
for
for dinner.
dinner?
Oh, and they
Every
complain.
day,
Oh,
every day
that
they complain,
sucks.
right?
Yeah,
I
that's
was
definitely
like,
a
we're having liver and
threat.
onions. My dad loved it. I grew up on this.
Yes.
You guys need to try it.
We went to
I
Winco's.
hated it. I'll never eat it again.
We went to Winco's and I took a picture of the beef hearts
Yeah.
and I sent it to them. This is what's for dinner tonight.
Going traditional. Be like, this is traditional food.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a F around
Next-
and
Yeah,
find
Yeah,
out.
next is the lengua and cabeza.
Keep
So,
bitching.
yeah, keep it up.
Keep bitching.
My kids do not trust me because I keep talking about how I'm going to sneak like cow tongue into the soup and, venison. And they're just, they are not those kids. I
Not
grew up-
adventure eaters.
Yeah, I grew up country, so you didn't even ask. I mean, you if you
You
got
didn't ask.
meat,
Yep.
you were excited because there was meat. That didn't really matter what part of what
Where
animal
it
it
came
was.
from. Yeah, what animal it was.
My kids are like tri-tip or nothing, or they're like hot dogs, which is kind of blows my mind, right? They're
Like,
they're
don't you know what's in
Yeah,
that?
they're like, we only want the good stuff or hot dogs.
Or same thing with like chicken nuggets. We're like, you know what's in there, right?
Yeah. They eat the shit out of chicken
Yeah.
nuggets.
All right, so what's the question?
So the question is mom overreacting?
Right, is she guilty of overreacting? This time we're going to start with Javi.
Yes.
She is guilty of overreacting
Yes.
for demanding the apology and
demanding
all
the
that stuff.
apology.
Okay. Dawn, where you at? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty.
Look
You
at
guys
that,
agree
two in a row.
again?
Woo-hoo.
Holy smokes. Oh, man.
What's wrong, Eric?
I think it's time for a cheesy commercial.
Damn, I hate commercials.
Me too. Let's do one.
Great idea.
Wife.
Yes, husband.
Please tell our listeners how they can write into the show, participate as guests, or maybe even get free merch.
I'd be happy to. The best way to reach out to us is by emailing the show at mistrialbyfire@gmail.com. You can also send us direct messages on any of our social media platforms.
But why would they?
I'm so glad you asked. Maybe they want to be on the show, which could happen in person or virtually. Also, if you have a story or content you think we could use for the show, send it. If your material is selected, we will reach out and send you some swag.
And what's that email address again?
Our email address is mistrialbyfire@gmail.com.
Perfect. Anything else?
The only thing left to do is get back to the show.
And here we go. All right, our last one, and I'm already a little tense. This kind of hits close to home based on the title. Do you remember when we canceled Halloween?
I do, because I canceled Halloween.
Like our little kids still talk about that, like it was 100 years ago, in a whole different time. And it's like some lore that they sit down and discuss. They're like, remember when they canceled Halloween? Am I guilty of overreacting for canceling my teenage daughter's birthday?
Ooh. Man, I've been close to canceling some birthdays.
I know. All right. I know how this sounds, but hear me out. I'm already on her side.
Right.
I'm a 40-year-old female and I have two daughters. One recently turned 16 and one is 11. My 16-year-old, Fiona, is very into fashion right now. She loves to watch Project Runway, RuPaul's Drag Race, basically anything to do with fashion. For her birthday, my husband and I bought a rather pricey sewing machine. We agreed that although this would be an expensive purchase, it was one that Fiona would really enjoy for her 16th birthday. 2 weeks before Fiona's birthday, my youngest, Kathy, came running to me sobbing. Her beloved American Girl doll was missing. I tried to calm her down while my husband looked around the house. What is that? Is that like a fancy doll?
Yeah, those have been around since at least I was a little kid. They're
like my size dolls is what they're supposed to be, and they're super expensive.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They have like their own little outfits. They have like their little names with stories
It's
and
like
like
the Snap-on for chicks.
Oh, okay. All right. Totally unaffordable.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So they're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I tried to calm her down while my husband looked around the house. A few hours later, Fiona arrived home after shopping with some friends. I told her about the situation, and Fiona promptly said, "Oh, that old thing, I sold it."
Oh,
If ever there was a record scratch in a real life moment, this was it for me. Fiona then told me that she needed some money for a new spring wardrobe and didn't think Kathy would mind since she rarely plays with the thing. It just sits there creepily in whatever outfit she put it in.
oh my god! And that's you don't play with. They're so expensive. You just dress them and set them there.
Is
and
that, yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was thinking in my
Yeah.
head. It's not like some action.
No,
Like a
I mean,
Barbie
They
that you
can
might
move,
run.
but you
Yeah.
don't. You don't
Okay.
play with them like
You're not like
Barbies.
popping their heads off.
Exactly. No.
Okay. All right. Kathy was in the room and burst into tears once more. My husband swiftly removes her from the room while I stare down my oldest. Fiona had
It's going down.
this almost sly smile on her face before telling me, "I know you're going to say to return everything, but almost all the clothes were on final sale, so I can't." I told her she was grounded before sending her to her room. I then sprung into action on getting Kathy her doll back. Took some time, but I was able to not only cancel the FedEx delivery, but the eBay seller understood the situation and accepted a refund. Wow.
Wow, go mom.
Now the problem with Fiona. I checked the receipts of the various stores, and sure enough, my daughter bought almost everything on final sale. My husband and I were out around $700.
Wow.
I feel like she intentionally found final sale
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Like she knew it was
knowing
going to hit the fan.
It's a
Yeah.
clever one.
Yeah,
Sly
she's
smile.
pretty smart. My husband and I returned the sewing machine to help cover our financial loss. As for Fiona's birthday, we could still have dinner at his parents' house with the cousins and whatnot, but there'll be no gifts. A few days before, my husband and I sat Fiona down and explained that due to her theft, she would no longer be getting the sewing machine for her birthday. She wouldn't be receiving any other gifts either. She did not take it well. A few days later, I started receiving messages from more distant relatives and some of Fiona's friends. Apparently, I'm a terrible person for canceling my daughter's birthday and telling other people she couldn't receive gifts. Fiona posted this story all over social media. This girl's off the hook.
Yeah.
GoFundMe.
You're right. Yeah. That's funny.
I know that my daughter is hurting, but these are the consequences of her actions. Still, part of me wonders whether or not I went too far by barring everyone from giving her gifts. So the question is, am I guilty of overreacting for canceling my teenage daughter's birthday?
Man, so I agree with like half of what she did. The grounding, the taking the sewing machine back, all of that is good to go. I would not have stopped other people from giving her gifts, though she would not have been allowed to get them until after she was done being grounded.
It feels to me like mom made this commitment to cancel the birthday. Mm-hmm. And when she did that, anything related to the birthday
went with
has
it.
to be a canceling
Right.
of the birthday, right? There was no like half measure there. I get your point though. Avi, what are you thinking?
I agree with Kyoko.
Yeah.
I just recently went through a similar situation where I canceled a Disneyland trip.
Oh, man, that's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, and I called and people and said, so-and-so is not going.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. It's just not.
There will be no happiest place
They
on
will
earth.
go. You can go.
Yeah.
This guy's not going.
Oh,
Recently
man.
happened.
So this is like,
And it
this
was
is
for
one,
the birthday.
It was for his actual birthday.
it was
On
birthday.
his actual birthday,
It
yeah.
was leaving the day before.
They were leaving the day before. They were gonna spend the weekend in Southern Cal, visit family, do all kinds of cool shit. Go to Disneyland, go to a Dodger game.
Wow.
Wow.
dude,
So this wasn't just
shit.
Disneyland.
Yeah, this was a weekend planned for him.
Wow.
And I told my parents
Right.
and my siblings, like, you guys can go. Is there any cost? You guys pay for stuff? I'll reimburse you.
How old's the kid?
He's not kidding. 17.
Infamous 17-year-old.
Yeah.
That guy.
Dang.
Man, that's, I mean,
Love the kid to death.
yeah, of course. Yeah. You're just got to be a parent.
And
You're parenting the kid.
When I talked to him, he got it.
Yeah.
I didn't come at him, and it hurt telling him he couldn't do that.
Well, and you're bummed, right? And
Right,
Because
and
you're
I'm
feeling
bummed.
like this
Right.
kid's missing out on the,
And it's like, damn, that sucks.
yeah.
It does.
But
But yeah.
this sucks too. Like
Yeah.
this part of sucks too, and it's gotta understand. And other people related to me had to understand. Some were against it, some were with it. Some were like, yeah, absolutely,
Right.
don't send it. Some were like,
Too far.
yeah, too
Trying
far.
to talk him out of it.
Calling Big Mom on. My mom called. She's like,
Oh, no. Where was your mom at on it?
she wanted to let him go. She
Yeah.
called me
Because
and
it's
I'm
grandma now.
Like, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
She wouldn't let you get away with that, though, right?
Hell, shit would have flown across country and hit me across the head.
They get soft, man.
She
They
didn't
get
want him to be
soft when they're
alone on
grandparents.
his birthday.
And she's like, it's his birthday, and maybe you can punish him after. I'm like, I hate to say it, but this is gonna hurt.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
hurts more. Mhm.
After the birthday, it doesn't matter. He already lived it
Right.
up. He already had
Yeah.
a good time. What can I take from that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
going to do when he
What-
gets
Right.
back
Yeah.
from Disneyland, the Dodgers game, spending a
Yeah.
week down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Nothing.
taking your phone away for a week.
Yeah.
Going to the beach. I mean,
Yeah.
totally living it up. Sorry, dude. You're gonna be alone on your birthday.
Oh, man. And that sucks for you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but I get it though.
Yeah.
Like, I totally get it.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, you have to have that consistency, man. If you tell your kid, 1 + 1 is 2, and it's not 2, then you kind of lose credibility.
Right.
Yeah. Dawn, where you at?
I'm all for the mom, man. Like that sly smile is what sold me.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I smile all the time, and I'm like, you know exactly what you did.
Makes you want to
Yeah.
snap
have
the life out of somebody.
remorse. And I'm all for it. Like, cancel it. Tell the family no gifts. Like all of it. Yeah.
I feel like the kid's a master manipulator.
Yeah, exactly.
Buying the clothes on final sale for me. And did they say $700?
700.
That's a lot.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
even.
lot of money.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So I don't like what these the doll probably sold for $700, and that's how she spent $700.
I'm guessing so. I don't know if she had a vintage one or
These things
like,
sell used for that kind of money.
if they're in good condition with all the outfits and
And
stuff.
when they first came out, they were super popular and even more
Okay.
expensive. I don't They might have gone down in price now. I don't know because you don't hear a lot about them
Damn.
anymore.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Well, and kids aren't playing with that kind of stuff as much anymore.
Right.
So she sells her little sister's fancy doll and gets $700 and buys a bunch of clothes that she can't return. I mean, that's this girl's kind of gangster. Like
Yeah,
she
I would have
knows what
taken the
she's
clothes
doing.
too, though.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
final sell or not, these are mine now. I'm gonna send them on
eBay
These are
or
going on
something,
eBay.
yeah.
Oh, actually, I would have made her. Since you're so good on eBay, actually,
yeah.
you're gonna list all these clothes and sell them.
See, that's that
Exactly.
parent punishment
Yeah.
skill, man. I
You
remember.
can be ungrounded when everything sells. So do a good job.
Yeah.
I had a
Make
pretty
it quick.
I had a pretty gangster parent move at one point. I remember, man, which one? It was our older kids, and I'm pretty sure that our son was being mistreated by our daughter, and I remember like the only way I could work it out, I don't know if I'm proud of this or not, but. But what I did was, it was something pretty egregious. I can't remember the details now, but I remember kind of the conclusion. And what I said was, does she have anything in her room that you want? And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, I don't know. Does she have anything in there you want? Is there something she has that you would rather have? And she's like, well, her TV's bigger than my TV. And I was like, well, take it.
That's your TV
It's
now.
like, really? And I said, yeah. And I went in there and I unhooked it. I said, this is his TV now. That was pretty gangster.
That's
That was-
funny. I forgot about that.
yeah, that happened. We did that with ice cream too once.
Oh yeah, because one of them was like, haha, mine's bigger. We're like, haha, no, it's not.
Trade.
You gotta
Kids are ruthless
Yeah,
though.
they are.
I just
Talk a lot of shit.
We got to humble them somehow.
Yeah.
That's right. This sounds like we're moving pretty quick on this one. Okay, so is the mom guilty of overreacting by canceling the whole birthday party and everything related to
I
it?
think that's the question.
Okay, we're gonna start with Dawn.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay, it was the sly look
yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
that-
It was that
Salt the ship.
smile.
Nails in
I
the
saw that in my
coffin.
head when
Yeah.
you said that.
Instantly made fish.
Yeah.
Javi, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. You guys are three
See,
for
three
three.
for three.
Oh man.
We can't raise 8 kids and not agree on stuff.
Right.
No, that's true,
Yeah,
man.
united front.
Yeah, you guys are batting 1,000. Well, that's it. You guys are awesome.
Yes, thank you
you.
guys for being
Yeah.
on
Thank
the
you
for having us.
show.
This
No,
is
it was
awesome.
really good.
Thank
We
you.
want you guys to come back.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and we know where to find you.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
See ya.
And with that, this concludes another episode of Mistrial by Fire, brought to you by Uncommon Threads. We hope you enjoyed it.
If you did, make sure to like, share, and follow us.
Also, don't forget to contact us by reaching out to mistrialbyfire@gmail.com.
We would love to have you on the show or hear from you if you have a story you'd like featured.
And from both of us, thanks again for listening. We wouldn't be here without you.